Okay, folks, this is your 2-minute warning. We start promptly at 10 o'clock. The first 20 people that were shots of vodka out there, I think they're all gone. So next time if you come early, Chrissy always puts out about 20 shots of vodka and hits in the water, and then, maybe you get it, maybe you don't. We are going to be live streaming this via Zoom for the first time. So everybody has to super behave. Not including me. Okay, we've got a ton of introductions to do. We have former elected officials, we have elected officials, we have board members, and we have folks that wish to be elected. So we're going to go through the most important people first. Our board president, Carlton Dallas, is out of town. His wife's dad is not doing well, and they went up to visit with him. So Carlton's not here today, but our VP, Margie Lefkowitz, where's Margie? Okay. And Margie's doing the nominating committee and the strat plan right now. I've got Ed Shotland, who's Ed, does our recreation committee, he's our secretary. Lori Schmidt, our treasurer, and does the finance committee. Can stay standing for a second, Lori. I saw several members of the finance committee. Do they all stand up? All members of the finance committee who are here? Where are you? Okay. These are the folks responsible for making the recommendation about your assessment, which is in there. So they did a heck of a job. So make sure you thank them. Hopefully you thank them. Maybe you won't. Rex Dornowitz has toughest me. Stay standing, Rex. Rex is also running for the Ward 6 council seat. So thank you, Rex. Keith Schlegel or Schlegel, I never get his name absolutely correct. Good morning. So I'm saying it both ways just to be safe. And Keith does our security committee. Jordan, I don't think is here for Leonard. We had an ARP meeting this morning, so I don't think he was able to make it. David Barnum does communications, and also did our ad hoc technology committee. David told me that he is a distantly blood related to the Barnum and Bailey circus people. So if you think anything's a free-ring circus,
free-ring circus everywhere I go.
And Mike Harris, who chairs our maintenance committee, and then we have Todd Lindstrom, our assistant GM, Vicky, who is heading up our communications and is doing the Zoom meeting. And by the way, we are Zooming. We have 20 people on, so I welcome the 20 people who are on. Maybe it's more by now who are watching via Zoom. This is a test. You can see how it works. Chrissy Christian is in the back, managing the coffee and the donuts. I think Jen is out getting a dentist appointment. Take care. She may pop in later on. Sean Ahern, who is the assistant to the assistant. Is that right, Sean? Activities director, assistants. But he's also our IT guy. Warren, everybody, where's Warren? Our director of security. Michelle Chisholm, ARB. Trevor Scott, our tennis professional. And did I get everybody? So Patsy Bryson, one of our council members. Okay. And Glenn Sanford, where's Glenn?
Peter, I'd like to make an announcement if I could.
Go ahead.
People may not be aware, but there's an election coming up.
When?
And I've decided not to run. And so I would like to introduce Belinda Tuner, who I have endorsed for that seat on Ward 6.
Thank you, Glenn. Welcome to me. And Glenn mentioned to me there was supposed to be a committee forum tomorrow. Is it tomorrow night? Tonight, and it's been postponed to October the 10th.
Yes.
So if anyone was interested in seeing that, it's not going to occur tomorrow. It will be on the 10th. Also, Stu Rodman. Stu Rodman is a former county council member who came to visit with us. Tom Lennox is a former town council member who came to visit with us. And of course, we have Alan Perry, our mayor, and Alan lives here over in North Leaf, and Mark Orlando, who lives here also. I'm not going to tell you where he lives. And
I will.
And his wife Jackie is somewhere in the audience, and she gives me the dirty looks if I do anything wrong. Mark Baker, why don't you stand up for a second? Mark is with Wood Partners, and I always introduce Mark. Mark is the one that is with Wood Partners. His firm did the land planning for the Spring Lake Pavilion, for the Spring Lake Pool, as well as Dolphin. So I mean, if you want to know where all that design work. And I think I got everything covered. I am going to go through my stuff quickly because I want to give Alan and Mark a bunch of time, because there's important things that they need to go over with you that are upcoming that are very, very huge for folks in Hilton Head Plantation. And, you know, I always have my stuff. In your handout, the capital transfer fees in yellow. And that's always a moving target. And when Todd came in, he gave me the year-to-date number, and that's the year-to-date number right there. That's as of this morning. That's why it's in yellow. Pippi is doing a whole thing on new note cards, and we're having a contest right now, and we're going to display those. I think at the next coffee, we're going to show all the entries that have come in. Advertising for plantation living is going great. I'm going to talk about the sales tax referendum. If you're following this, there's a 1% sales tax referendum that's going on in Jasper County and a 1% sales tax that's going on in Beaufort County. They are to support millions and millions of dollars of traffic improvements, including on Hilton Head Island. Part of the money for the funding for the bridge is in that referendum, and the funding for Main Street, all the improvements, which Mark is going to, he told me he was going to mention in his talk, is in that referendum. The town and the county can educate, but they cannot advocate for that 1% sales tax referendum. I'm not bound by that. I was on the original task force that put all those roads together in Beaufort County. I'm also on the Green Space Advisory Committee, which is a 1% sales tax to raise $100 million to take properties off the market. And one of those properties that is almost closed out is the Mitchellville tract. And there are several others that the town has proffered to the Green Space Committee. That 1% sales tax is going to sunset. This would be take the place of that 1% sales tax. And it's the first time that Jasper County and Beaufort County have actually collaborated, so their road networks will be intermingled. You know, Bluffton has come out against it, basically because it took the connection between the Bluffton Parkway out of the funding. And there are some members there that have ticked off about it. I think the residents are happy that they're not going to tear through property, but that's why I believe Bluffton Town Council said that they're not in favor of it. But that is an important thing to us directly because of Main Street and the bridge. And there's also a lot of things going on with, I think the Seapine Circle, and Mark can talk about those projects, but he can't talk about the 1% sales tax and advocate for it. So I'm kind of doing that, not for him, but I can get away with it. He can. And neither can the mayor. The most important thing here is that we have the Zoom announcement. You already know that, so I'm going to go by real quickly. We adopted the budget on Tuesday. This will be on the front page of Plantation Living for October. We raised your assessment $3.08 a month. I know, it's tough. Maybe you can go to Starbucks and get a latte for that. It's $37. There'll be a full page article and everything that's in there. It has IT services, it has security cameras, we doubled the amount of money in the operating budget for leisure paths. We had to make some adjustments due to federal regulations for full-time staff that are exempt from overtime. So there are lots of different things in there. Pippi's doing an outstanding job at advertising. Our gate fees are doing very well. And Willette Lee, who took over the management of the RV boat storage area, is just, you know, making phenomenal use of that space. And we've almost doubled the income from that particular amenity. So again, we're doing very, very well. So, and right now, it was too early to do a full financial in the month. We haven't closed out August yet. But I would say that we're running about a $300,000 positive variance to budget right now.
Good show.
Which is very, I believe that's gonna hold to the end of the year. We'll see. You know, lots of things can happen. You can never gain, as you well know. I approached the League of Women Voters about having candidates for Ward 6. They turned me down. They said it wasn't open to the public. I said I'd have people hanging from the rafters. I don't know how many people were at the town council one last night in person, but I would say that there are more people here than there were at the council chambers. Recreation Committee is going to start to look at this building and other capital projects at their next meeting. As you know, we did the survey, and this building came out as the next intended project. They're going to have the meeting here. And the reason they have the meeting here is so they can walk around and look at this building. And again, you know, and I didn't do this. If you are interested in the history of this building, inside Jen's office and Sean's office, on the wall, there is a newspaper article about this building on a trailer coming down Seabrook Drive. It was moved from Seabrook Drive just outside our gate to this location. It was donated by the developer. It was never intended to be a community building, but it was donated back in the 80s, and this is it. All right, this is the revenue income. Oh, you know, Sam's Club is going to do pickleball indoors. That building. Trevor's going to try and do some negotiating with them, see if we can get a preferential treatment for our folks here for indoor pickleball. We're working on software where you can go online and sign up for a class, pay for it online, and do all those neat things. That's coming. We're going to have to get email addresses from folks. So the next step in that process, probably later on this year or early next year, we're going to ask people for email addresses to make this whole thing work. If you have a lease in the RV boat storage area, the lease is due by Monday. If not, we're going to give that spot to somebody else, and it's a huge waiting list. All right, lockbox program, new people, Dolphin Head, Skull Creek Drive has been completed. We still have a couple of manhole covers that we want to, I should call them personable covers, I guess. That need to be adjusted up, and David is working on that. Is David here? I need to introduce David. He's probably down in one of those manhole covers. Hey, David.
You didn't mention me.
I'm sorry, I should mention that. That's the guy. David Mills, our director of maintenance. All right, real quick, there's a ton of records. Please, they got the trash and treasure coming out. We can go into use thing, flu shot clinics. You need a flu shot. Stephanie Dunn's doing. I got a couple of phone calls, security about there's this woman taking pictures. Oh, she wants me to move some on camera. Okay. And she's doing Christmas photos, family Christmas photos, and it's on the path, leisure path. That's a natural path between Deerfield and Dolphin Head. Some of you may not even know that that path exists, and it goes right by the Elliott Cemetery. But you know, if you ever want to explore something, it's a really neat walk to go from Deerfield Road down to Dolphin Head. Okay, we got Halloween prep parade. That's always a hoot. We haven't done that. We're going to do a trunk or treat, tailgate party. These are all statistics on the buildings that the board always loves me to include. More facility stats. Also, we close the end of October. And the governance committee is looking at low speed vehicles, as well as redoing all of the rules and regulations, making a recommendation to the board. August security report is in there. And, you know, naturally our contractor was supposed to start on the leisure pass today. And obviously he's not doing it today. it seems that whenever we get them lined up, some catastrophe happens or some rain event happens. I'm not going to cover the Pine Island beach renourishment other than the fact that we have a permit to do sand scraping that we're holding on to. And Mark is going to go over, I think, in painstaking detail, what the town is going to do for us later on. Kids Camp is over, another bumper year. If you have a child or a grandchild, you may want to check that pile over there. That's all the lost and found for Kids Camp. My rental facts, if you want to know about that. More rental facts. Okay, the last coffee of the year is going to be on November 21st, and Dr. Rodriguez, the superintendent of schools, is going to be a special guest. Okay, not going to talk about Pine Island. Just save that for, we have wonderful pictures of Pine Island. Wow, nice looking. You want to see what Pine Island looked like in 1955. 1999. Hot stuff. And this is what we're doing for beach renourishment. We're taking that patched in area over there. Right there, we're moving it over here. The town is going to be doing something a lot more intense. Going backwards. I can't move over here because 50 doesn't work down here. Okay. Just to go over this, I go over it every single time. You know, firearms are not permitted on the community buildings. You can transport a weapon across common property, but you can't brandish it. You can't put it on a holster. You can carry it. You can carry it in your car. You can have it in your home, and that's it. Obviously, only a security officer can, or a law enforcement officer can discharge the weapon on the property. And, you know, we posted all our buildings just because of the new law, and anyone can carry a weapon now. You don't have to have a permit. They can strap it on their hip, and as long as it's not concealed, they can walk around with the weapon, but they can't do it on open representation. And if you own a weapon, lock it up. If you have a weapon in your car, and a lot of people do, you know, either remove it, lock it in your glove box, lock it in your trunk. Because we have been very, very lucky. I don't even like to say this because Warren thinks I jinxed it. We have not had any car triers, door triers, burglaries in a very, very long time. But every once in a while, we'll have kids that come in and some adults. All they do is try to see if you have an open car door. They just go from house to house, and if it's open, they go through it, take what they want. And if you have a weapon, we've lost a couple of weapons that way. Not a good idea. And then, of course, we have to talk about alligators. And we get lots of calls about alligators, and we do alligators every day. And I think there's a day that goes by that we don't get an alligator out of a pool, out of a garage, out of somebody's front lawn. They are here. They're not leaving. But we will mosey them on. If you think an alligator is aggressive, give security a call. They will come out and evaluate it. Okay, obviously, if you feed them, you're killing them. If they associate humans with food, you are basically giving them a death sentence. Okay, don't feed the wildlife, build from the distance. You've got all of these critters and more, and use common sense. And if you've been over to the Dillon Road Recycling Center, you see all the containers have been changed. I2 Recycle has taken over the recycling from Waste Management. And the name of the individual who owns I2 Recycle is a fellow by the name of Mike Bennett. And Mike Bennett, guess where he lives? Here. All right, we always put these stats up just for kicks and giggles. You know, the rest of the country is kind of slowing down. You know, we have a few more months of inventory. This was back in July, and you can compare it to, you know, about the same months of inventory, and we've ticked up a little bit. Mark, you said we have a house that's going to close. That's what you said, 4 million, 6 million. So the next time we do statistics, it's gonna be a little skewed. It'll add quite a bit to that capital transfer fee money. All right, that is all I have. Does anyone have a question that I can answer before I turn it over to Mark and Alan? Yes, sir.
I'm glad to see we have so much money, $300,000. Can we apply some of that to the noise abatement project at Falcon Head? Are we gonna do that this year?
The noise abatement inside the building?
Yeah.
Already done.
It doesn't work.
I have not heard a complaint about it. You're the first one after we put those panels in that said anything negative.
Well, how come the witness club have said they're not gonna compete at Falcon Head?
Okay.
They can't. I was there, 19 people Saturday and Sunday night. Nobody could hear anybody sitting at a table. You could hear the next person.
And, you know, and we'll add more panels. So that's what's needed. We put panels in. I got a positive response and we said that we'd add more if we have any negative comments. You're the first negative comment I've heard.
Have you pulled the clubs?
Hmm?
You know who the
Oh,
clubs?
please, they let me know. I appreciate you letting me know. Other questions?
I just wanted to second that. I heard at the many meeting that.
Okay, we'll add more.
Yeah.
Not a big deal.
Hold the room. See if anybody.
I think I got it.
Hey, Peter, I'm Brian Bullitt. I agree with them. Other than I ran a meeting there last night, and we were all in the center, like Dolphin Head, correct? That we didn't have a problem. We were in one meeting, it was not fun.
Okay.
My other question now, I don't know if it's for you. We're part-time here in our lagoon, which is on, if you look over number 10 green on Oyster Reef. Our alligator, I don't know if I missed something, but you know, last couple of times we've been down, we aren't seeing any alligators. So I didn't know if there was a culling that was taking place of some gators or.
Nope.
Okay.
And they move around.
Okay. No problem.
They actually go through the storm drain system and move around.
Okay. Thank you.
We do not cull, we do not cull alligator. The only thing we do, we find one that's aggressive and it needs to be removed. We remove it. It has to be euthanized and it's taken off the property. Yes, sir.
The pond opposite the POA building, I counted 20 babies.
Yeah, there's a ton of babies there. We were talking about that yesterday. Yep. Go ahead, sir.
Good work, Peter. Go over the rules for electric bikes, and are you thinking about changing the rules to all electric?
Yeah, I'm looking at that. Right now, you're allowed to have an electric bike on the road. You're not allowed to have an electric bike with a motor engaged on our leisure paths.
Right.
Now, the question is, if there aren't a leisure paths, how do I know that the motor's engaged and security going to be out there? And the answer is no. I do get a complaint. If I get a complaint, I'll follow up on it. But we're looking at it, you know, at some point, these electric bikes can go 30 miles an hour. The state has got to get involved at some point, because if you have a moped that goes 30 miles an hour, it has to be registered by the state and driven by a licensed driver. So
Outside the plantation, they have speed limit, right?
I believe they're allowed outside the plantation, if I'm not mistaken, Mark.
They're allowed. Right.
And they're allowed on the leisure paths too.
For the most part, you know, there's 3 levels of e-bikes, not to bore you with the details, but the South Carolina law on a public pathway, an e-bike is a bike. Bike is a bike is a bike unless it's considered a moped or motorcycle. And so there's
That's based on the motor size.
So I've seen some motorcycles on the pathways, but again, how do you enforce that? But most e-bikes that you see on the pathway considered by South Carolina code law is a bike.
I have an e-bike, so I kind of was like it to, you know, be allowed to do it, not have to.
Don't ask me questions about bikes.
And what's going to end up driving that is unfortunately is going to be an accident. You know, so, you know, see, so drive it safely.
Yeah, it's either on the pathway or the road. You get hit on the road by a car, or you get both ways. So.
Yes, sir.
Peter, a number of people in here go to water aerobics, and I know you've come visited the class on any number of occasions. There are
I've been smart. You haven't been there in a while.
upwards of 40 people at a time in the pool. There has been some discussion about extending the season either end. And I don't know what it would take to consider that. I know it's cost, all those other factors that go into it, but it really would be something that would encourage more people to use the pool longer in the season.
You know, the reason we, you know, obviously we closed the pool in October because the weather changes and the trails off, and Chrissy heard what you said, and it depends on, the instructors as well, but usually it drops off, attendance, but we can take a look at that. Anyone else before I give the mic over to? Yes.
Redo of the plantation house is going to be a huge undertaking. I understand that the recreation committee has been charged with that. Will there be open sessions? I mean, this is something.
Yeah, the way that's a great question. The way that process works is that the rec committee and there are members of the community on that committee, obviously, and they come up with a straw person and with tons of ideas. And they develop that. We have a land planner that puts that together, and then we have a community meeting, just like this one. And we present it to you guys, and we get feedback from you. And we take that information, pro, con, otherwise, and we incorporate that into the plan. And we don't bring a final plan to the board for approval until we have that whole process completed. It takes a long time. Folks say to me, oh, we're going to start working on this next year. Nah, I mean, it'll take that long to get a plan together. And then depending on how much Mark and Alan love me, once we have a plan, we have to give it to the town and get a permit. And that takes some time. And then the third and one of the most important things, gotta have the money.
I have a follow-up question to that. That sounds like an extended period of time to do something that's really important, really
Yep.
well. Does that mean that nothing else will be done during that period of time in terms of any capital improvements on the plantation?
No, that's not. If there's small things that the board tells me to do, we'll do it. Yes. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to our illustrious mayor, Alan Perry, and to Mark O'Malley. Over close.
All right, thank you. So, Mr. Barnum, thanks for coming in and bringing the three-ring circus for our master of ceremonies here, Mr. Christian. But no, in all seriousness, thank you all for having us today. I want to talk briefly about the hurricane that's out there because this is important information. While it is to the west of us, a lot of the impacts are going to be to the east. So it is a very large storm. And we've already had tornado warnings this morning. There was one in Bluff. Unfortunately, we do not think it touched down anywhere. But as the day goes on, it's going to get worse. So be wary of all of that. Don't pay attention to just the cone. Pay attention to where the bands are coming through, when they're coming through, how they're coming through. It's fast moving. There could be and probably will be more tornado warnings throughout the day. So just be prepared on that. So Peter, residents, council members, those who are running, thanks for being here today and learning about not only your community, but your island and what we have going on and where council is kind of directing things and how we're trying to improve, how we're trying to communicate, how we're trying to include everybody in the different areas that we're working on. So there's a lot of exciting things. Mark's going to kind of take the lead on this, and I'm going to chime in along the way. He's got his presentation to go forward, and here's your mic. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Mark Orlando, our town manager. For about 4 years, and I got to tell you, he is doing an absolutely amazing job. He is more than intelligent. He comes with a lot of experience. He's had a lot of great education. You know what? This year, for the first time ever, he gets to vote. For the first time ever. So he's been a resident for over 20 years. But he became a citizen, what, 3.5 years ago? About that. So, so he saw that the Great White North was not so great, but the Great South, Great Southern Hospitality would have and where he needed to be. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mark.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Hope you're doing great. Hope you're doing great today. Quick show of hands, because I know that new residents often move to this great island. Show of hands. Who's a resident of Hilton Island or the Low Country less than 3 years? Good. Now I don't feel so bad for putting these things in my presentation.
I want to start off by saying thank you to Peter for hosting these events. I live here. Peter and I have a great relationship. He calls me, I call him, and he has a direct line to the town hall. I enjoy and love living in here, and I just think you and your whole team are doing a great job. Especially Trevor, who taught my daughter how to play tennis, and I thought chance. She can learn how to play tennis. So a little bit about me. I've lived down here since 1997. I came as an intern. I worked for the town of Hilton Head Island. Didn't really like the planning internship job. Jumped out into the private sector, public sector. I spent a lot of my career in the Low Country. I'm married, so my wonderful wife here with me today. So if I'm a little nervous, it's because she'll probably later just tell me if I. And she'll tell me too as well. We both love it here. We have a son, Ben. He is at St. Francis. We have a daughter, Emmy. She's at Hilton Head Prep in 9th grade, and she has her first high school dance this weekend. So you think this is nervous? A little bit about us. I just want to give everybody a quick overview, and I have some time, so Peter, I appreciate it. I usually tell Peter that it's not a coffee with Peter, it's an espresso with Peter, because there's so many questions from y'all about your community. And so I have a little bit of time today to talk to you about all things town of Hilton Head Island. So a little history, our government overview. A lot of folks see me and they say, are you the mayor? Did you get elected? I get emails where people ask me to vote for something. And I'll explain a little bit about my role and how that works. The mayor doesn't wear a tie. A little bit about our team. We've grown a good team. We have great department heads and we have an amazing staff. A little bit about our island. Town council, with staff's help, town council approved, embedded what we call conditions and trends. It's almost a demographic profile, a census report of some sort, but very specific and very targeted for our island. So we don't have to wait every 5 years or 10 years for some data. And we really added some things together. I want to share some of those details with you. And then most importantly, I want to tell you and talk to you a little bit about what town council said are the town council, community, and my priorities over a couple of years. So a little bit about us, especially of those folks that raised their hand. Been here a few years. When I was a younger guy, when I first arrived, I didn't quite appreciate the history on this island the way it is. But Hilton Head Island dates back, at least as the records tell us, 8,000 BC. The earliest human habitation on Hilton Head Island dates back that far. The island derives its name from Captain William Hilton, who named the island as a navigational marker in 1663. In 1862, Mitchellville, soon after the Civil War, became the site of the first self-governed freedmen's town in America. And so if you haven't been to Mitchellville Freedom Park, please go. There's a lot of work that will come to that, but it is definitely a sacred ground and an important part of our history. In 1950, Sea Pines Resort came to be, and the island as they knew it started to change. Interesting, right? What do they say? The more things change, the more they stay the same. In 1956, the bridge opened, which was the first bridge connecting Hilton Head Island to the mainland. Hilton Head Island opened in 1967, and the town is young. As a town, when you go to different places in the country, no matter where you're from or anywhere, even a lot of places in South Carolina, government has been in business a lot longer than us. We have been in business as a formalized municipality only since 1983. A little bit about town council and how all of this works, right? So as an org chart, we know that we work for the community. First and foremost, we know we work for the community. I've always known that. And I appreciate that that's the expectation set by mayor and council as well. But town council appoints me as a town manager, and they also appoint their town attorney. So as a town manager, I have oversight of staff. I don't vote. I make recommendations. I give them the best advice I possibly can. We talk about things. I work with town council. I work with the great town council individually, but collectively, right? And so we know who our council members are. Peter alluded to an election in about a month and a couple of weeks. And I know that everybody's been working hard, the folks that are seeking election, the folks that are on town council, and the folks that are retiring. I just want to say a thank you to everybody, especially the folks that I've worked for the 3.5, close to 4 years that I've been here. Simply because I see how much work it takes to learn, understand, hear from you, hear from me, think about it, work together collectively, have your own opinions, and then try to make the best decision you can for the future of this island. Our org chart, we have some great folks. I won't bore you with it all, but we have a great select team. We have a vacancy. Our deputy town manager, Josh Gruber, is taking the Hardyville city manager job. And so that creates the vacancy you see up there. But we have a director of public safety, human resources, fire rescue, finance, our historic neighborhood, Gullah Geechee Historic Neighborhood Community Development Corporation executive director, our communications director, and an assistant town manager that oversees facilities, planning, information technology, as well as capital projects, engineering, and some of the things I'm going to talk to you a little bit about today. I put this up here, not to scare you, but to remind all of us how work flows through a town. And so when you take a look at this org chart, and you wonder if things take long or how it came to be, when you look at this org chart, you still see the same citizens. You see the council, you see the appointment of the town manager and the town attorney. But the shaded areas are all the areas that you as citizens could get involved in. You could volunteer as a board, commission, committee member, or you could attend those meetings and listen and learn and give your input on some of the issues at hand. And so town council has 3 committees: the public planning committee, the community service public safety committee, and the finance and administrative committee. Most of the work that I do with and through the town council is vetted and is filtered and discussed. The hard questions, the hard answers at committee level. But we do have the Gullah Geechee Task Force, the Housing Action Committee. We have the state mandates, the Collecting Board of Adjustments and Appeals, the Board of Zoning Appeals, Planning Commission, Design and Review, Parks and Rec, and a few others. So I think that's important. So if you want to learn more, and sometimes the questions are, hey, wait a minute, where did this come from? How come I didn't hear about it when the town council is ready to vote on something? And we stand there surprised, wondering, because we've been working at this level for a period of time before it gets to the town council. So just want to let you know a little bit about that process. In the last few years, we've invested. So we've invested in our service levels. So it was one of the very first meetings I had here. Somebody in the audience raised their hand. I can see her today, so I won't call her name out. So talking, my wife knows, Peter knows. But the question was, what are you going to do about the trash on the beach? New town manager, brand new, didn't know much, didn't know a lot of names. I just said, I'm going to pick it up. And so what we've really done is invested in our service levels over the last few years, different than before. And I'll show you what that means. But I want to call out that our increase in calls for fire rescue service, we've invested in firefighters, we've invested in folks. We've established a short-term rental program a few years ago, actually 2 years ago. We did not have a short-term rental program. We were one of the last in the country to put one in place of our size and stature. We are one of Expedia's top 10 markets in the country. We have more short-term rentals on this island than San Diego. And I'm not opposed to short-term rentals. I don't want them next to me. That's why I didn't know that plenty of. But we have to manage them. We have to understand that folks made an investment. We have to understand how they're monitored and enforced throughout the country, and we put a program in place. We've also established a housing program. We've also established a development corporation that is focused with a town council appointed board of directors as a nonprofit 501c3, a community development corporation. We've also expanded those beach operations. We're going to pick up the trash. We're going to be on the beach. We're going to be visible. We've improved facilities management. And what I mean by that, we are on the clock a lot more today than we used to be. We used to leave on Friday, leave a person on staff till Monday, and then I would hear about the cars towed or the trash on the beach or the short-term rentals that were dumping their trash at the beach park, knowing we weren't there for the weekend. We've established some public safety team and communications, improved communications, our outreach. We have definitely expanded our stormwater utility program and our spread in our relationships and partnerships through agreements with different communities. This being one. So as a team, we have committed, so my expectation, our amazing human resource director expectation, and all of the senior team you saw in that first org chart. We do have a commitment to each other, to this community, and also to the teams that work with us, that for up to 10 hours of time, we will have a corporate social responsibility leave program as part of the daily. So 10 hours a year, you can volunteer as long as the nonprofit benefits and helps Hilton Head Island. So hours today, right? So instead of fundraising, it's more of a time race. So far today, we volunteered about 1,054 hours from January 1 to September 6th on a lot of different events, right? Outside Foundation, MLK Committee, and several others. Deep Well, Bluffton Self-Help, let's help some folks on the island. RBC Heritage Golf Tournament, part of that volunteer crew. So I mentioned a little bit the community, the conditions and trends assessment. So we are an island of a full-time counted population of 37,661. Small population if we just look at population. Median age is 58. Mayor keeps saying he wants that lower.
Yeah, I'm over 58 now. So I'm actually the median age, but when we talk about our community, we know that we're a big retirement community. Having grown up here, it used to be a lot younger, and we've got to focus our efforts. When I say we, council, needs to really start to focus on those attributes of our community that can bring a younger generation in. And that is not necessarily through short-term rentals. It's not about the tourists coming in day to day. It's not the day trippers. It's about the businesses that we have. So how can we create a better business atmosphere to drive a high-tech, low-impact opportunity to Hilton Head? Recently, I received a phone call of a company that was looking to come to Hilton Head. The owner of this company lived in the area, and it was 300 jobs, high-tech, but he needed 300 parking spaces. There's nowhere on Hilton Head for them. So we worked with the Economic Development Corporation of Beaufort County, and now they're looking at Bluffton. That still helps us because it brings in high-paying jobs. But we've got to figure out a way, if we can stop this, if I can stop the age from rising, then that's a huge success. Because our future depends on that younger generation to come in and provide services to us, to help us. And then also to take my place as mayor and to take somebody else's place on council. We've got to pay attention to the younger generation. It is our future. And we haven't done enough of that over the past several years. So this is something that is going to become a big topic of conversation going forward. We're addressing short-term rentals. We're putting programs in place to limit that, to make certain that it is monitored properly. And we've got the data to address it. But we're going to start talking about the business. We've got a lot of open commercial space. How do we utilize that? It's not generating revenue for our community. So this is something that is very near and dear to me. I don't have grandkids yet. I want them to live here. My boys are still here, but I want my grandkids here, right? It is our future, and the value of our future is based upon that median age. Thank you. Let me stay over here because I can't see some of that board with the glare, but we're a diverse community. Our population under 18 is 13%. Our population over 65 is close to 40. We do, when you compare ourselves, when you compare Hilton Island across the state, across the southeast, across parts of the US, we do have a high median family income, but we're still close to 10% measured income below poverty line. We're an island of 34,665 total housing units on 54 square miles. And we're almost split. This is interesting. This jumped out at me. Mr. Lennox would always ask me when he was on council and even since then,
when we talk. Any surprises? There's a surprise for me. We are almost the same amount of single family detached as we are those non-single family, right? The duplexes, triplexes, multifamily units. Housing units for sale. So 300, when we measured this, on this is 364 condo villas for sale, median price of 475. And you can see the median price is around the same as last year. You can see that for the detached is around the same as last year. Here's where it starts getting interesting. There are more than 21,000 jobs in Vermont. So in a town of 37,661 people, that close to 40% of the population is over 65. We have an island of, sorry. Oh, Peter, I went backwards. We have an island of 21,400 jobs. So that means that 50%, majority, 63% of local jobs are filled by non-locals. That means 63% of our island comes across that bridge to work every day. And that's about the same. I wasn't surprised by that. That's about the same as our workforce. Our workforce drives past many fire stations to get to their fire station, many town halls to get to this town hall, many facility public works stations and posts in the county to get to our public works and facilities posts. So we're definitely monitoring that and see where the larger employers are, beverage, their vacation areas, the Hilton Head Medical Center and Clinic, with the new healthcare system that's in place. It's been just wonderful. The response of them to us has just been wonderful. Since January, we've opened 120 new businesses. We also have 7,100 short-term rental permits approved since January. And so there's a deadline in April. And so we really know for the year how many have registered as a short-term. I'd say a few years ago, that number was about 3,000. I'll show you where that changed.
Mark, if I might, I want to point out something on this. It's really important. In 120 new businesses have opened. And I know it's on y'all's mind, but 15 are healthcare. And that is an area that has been somewhat lacking on Hilton Head for a while. And it is one of the first things that I addressed when I came into office. We pulled in the hospital and started having conversations about what are you doing to get some nurses? And that became a huge priority. And they have done a wonderful job in bringing nurses in, but at the same time, attracting new medical opportunities. And that is, again, going to be another area of focus that will continue throughout this year, next year, and the years to come, because there are some specialized services that we don't have. Having to drive to Mayo Clinic in Jacksonville, having to drive to USC, having to drive to Savannah is not necessarily a good quality of life. So we have to figure out a way to address the medical needs. And we're having great conversations with the medical community currently about how to attract some of those opportunities to come in.
And so for a small island, 54 square miles, population under 40,000. Keep in mind, we have close to 3,100,000 visitors a year. We're a business of close to 14,000 functioning businesses. We are in the inspection business. So Peter, whenever you're ready, you'll be 4,604 as fast as we can. We understand that. We are in the customer service business, and at the same time, we are in the quality of growth business. And so sometimes those compete. You submit a building permit, the expectation is always given my pool permit, given my house permit, given my commercial building permit, given my site plan approval. But then on the flip side is we need to be careful, we need to be cautious, and we need to carefully review building plans, site plans, development plans. We need to look north, south, east, west, and not just look at the site, check the compliance in the land management ordinance, but to make sure what the impacts are in the surrounding properties. And so we are definitely in the customer service business, and in my time here, I've definitely improved the team to have a better quality review that is also more responsive, more predictable for an outcome, but also a higher quality of review. Calls for service and fire rescue. When I said I'd explain a little bit of that and the short-term rental part of it as well. It all really starts matching up when you measure your data. So we had less than 8,000 calls for service in 18, close to 8,000 in 19, around the same in 20. Remember 2020? I won't even say it out loud. Remember what happened in March of 2020? You can start seeing the Hilton Head Island changed. It's dynamic. And so the measured population, the number of visitors that we know of 3 million, and the short-term rental permits or the short-term rentals that changed, it really changed in March of 2020 and jumped up above 8,000, close to 10,000 now calls per service. And you can see year to date, and if you just project that, we're almost around the same. I think we'll be a little higher, a little lower, about the same though from last year. But of our 5,891 emergency responses, more than 4,000 EMS, 1,300 fire, hazmat, technical rescues, one of which was my fisherman's son. It's a different story, not to tell. But know this, and I call out this, we have had 603 attendees at fire and life safety education events. We are not just responding to problems, we are trying to educate, inform, and be a part of that solution on the front end. Right? Whether that's a lesson on how to put your smoke alarm in or how to fish with oysters around you, our firefighters are out there informing the community. So plug into that if you want.
Yeah, and one of the great statistics about the 4,358, we have a high rate of heart attacks. We have a 70% survival rate of the calls that they go on. That is unbelievable. That is one of the highest in the country. So these guys are just phenomenal. I mean, they do a great job. They're super well trained. And we could not be more fortunate than to have the chief that we have and the team that he has put in place. Yeah, absolutely. I'm just astounded. They're my heroes. I know they're our heroes too. So code enforcement. In the last few years, we established a stronger code enforcement team that works past 4:30. They work weekends. They work nights and weekends as well throughout the whole week. But you can see we're on the beach patrol, 18,268 violations. Now, we did not give, nor do we want to give 18,268 tickets to be in the front page of every paper in the country. But you see what we're really focused on. We're letting people know that it's not appropriate and against the rules of the beach to drink alcohol on the beach, that you must fill in the holes that you're digging for your kids that the turtles are falling out of, or into, I should say, when they're trying to get to the ocean. Glass bottles, unleash dogs during the season where you need to leash your dog. Bikes and dunes, not just the dunes. I saw a rattlesnake on the beach yesterday. That was the largest rattlesnake I've ever seen, and it's in the dunes. And if that doesn't keep you out of the dunes, I don't know. I think we need to stop educating people that it's unhealthy to walk in their business, except you tell them that there are rattlesnakes and they're bigger than us. Yeah. Fishing licenses and you go back to that. So for code enforcement, I'm sure it comes to mind, okay, what about police enforcement? What are we doing to make certain that we're safe? Different counties, what we have, of course, each residential community has their security force. One of the things that I've started talking about now is to bring back the municipal court to our community. A lot of the problems that we're seeing has to do with people coming to our community and violating the codes and the rules. Well, we can't always give a ticket. We can't give a true parking ticket as of right now. So we've got to explore ways that we can create a safer and better atmosphere, whether it's giving tickets for drinking in the public, on the beach, littering on the beach. Personally, I like to see if somebody leaves trash on the beach, they get hit with a $500 fine. And if they go back and pick it up, they still got the ticket because they got to learn. And parking is a big issue. So once we can control some of ourselves, right, and that comes to the municipal court. And this is going to come to council in the next several months. And I think it's something that's very valuable for our community. And I think it's something that needs to be done before our own police force is discussed about. We've got to address the problems, and we're not doing that currently through our current setup. You know, previous councils removed the municipal court because it was losing money. Well, we figuring out ways to pay for that so it doesn't lose money, and we're going to make certain that we're a safer community.
With code enforcement, I will say, if you look back a few years, we can track.
Microphone.
Yeah, well, we can track. Sorry. We can track what COVID did. And what we really see here is also not just COVID, it's not just visitors, it's the people that are using our beach a lot differently today, right? So when you come to the beach, you go to your timeshare, you go to your hotel, you go to the beach. In the homes that are no longer right at the beach, we are definitely on the beach differently. So I would say this, a few years ago, before our code enforcement team mobilized the way they are, right? Before the nights and weekend shifts, this was zero. Because we weren't out there, we didn't measure it, and we didn't interact with folks to let them know what we expect. I have some fun stuff, and I'll speed this up a little bit. Town council, as I shared earlier, aligned every January, sometimes February, but every January, they get together for a 1 or 2 day strategic plan workshop. We put a strategic plan in place a couple of years ago, and the town council voted on their top priorities. And so what you see on the screen here are the clear priorities from the leadership of town council that have explained, one, to the community what we're working on, and then to me, what I can have some confidence and comfort in where we're spending time, money, and energy. So we said that we would work on our land management ordinance, and we're getting deep in that. I would say a lot of that work is going to happen between January and next August and September. That we implement a workforce housing game plan framework. That we adopt some major street and corridor improvement plans. And I'm going to show you some examples of the good work that's underway because of this. Then we would have a William Hilton Parkway Gateway Corridor Plan. Town council approved that memorandum of agreement. They gave the State Department of Transportation their collective approval of it, but with expectations to Beaufort County a couple months ago. Then we would start the Gullah Geechee Historic Neighborhood Community Development Corporation with specific goals and priorities. Then we would really scrub, and thank you to Peter and a whole bunch of others that worked closely with him, and we would really start understanding I'm sorry, Peter, I thought this was solid waste recycling. I saw SWAT, but this is a resiliency plan.
I'm always in the trash.
To truly understand our island stormwater resilience. And we would implement a capital improvement program for our future. And I'll just jump through it. There's the solid waste recycling. We work to truly understand our strengths, weaknesses, as well as Beaufort County strengths and weaknesses, and start really focusing on where those gaps are for solid waste and recycling programs. Then we would focus a lot more on our destination marketing organization, right? Our chamber, as we call it, but it's really our visitor convention bureau, what they're marketing, how they're marketing, and what we're doing to attract tourism and our marketing strategies. And we would push on and understand revenue sources. I'd say that behind the scenes, the directive was not property tax, right? Our property taxes have decreased 5 millage points over the last couple of years, but we have found new dollars in, example, short-term rental program, right? From just permitting the short-term rentals that are there, that's close to a $2 million a year revenue return. Then we would help St. James Baptist Church relocate away from the end of the runway to a site that's more appropriate for them and for the community. And that we would really focus on our beach park enhancements. I'll jump through that. So a little bit about workforce housing. You might have heard about North Point, our public-private partnership. It's been approved by town council. I think it'll be a great project. 100% of the project, 160 or so units on 11 acres of town land that will be leased to a developer for 65 years and returned to the town after that term. 1, 2, 3 bedroom apartments. And the requirement is that every single unit here has to have at least one person living in it And that requirement is you have to work here to live there. But I think that's astounding. So at a minimum, that's 160 jobs. We've also established a $500,000 partnership with Habitat for Humanity. They have a piece of land under contract right now. Town council has approved that agreement. And the closing date is soon to be probably by the end of this fiscal year or at the end of this calendar year, where they would close on a piece of land. We would help them with the design and build of their homes. We would help them with a whole bunch of other things and really bring to life an improved model, a different model, and a new model of a habitat. So we're excited about that. We are renourishing the beach. If you look right here at these shaded lines, this is Pine Island. This is Fish Hall. That's the heel, the foot, and toe of Hilton Head Island. And so phase one includes the heel. Right, you see the green is phase one, the heel, Port Royal, Fish Hall, and Pine Island. That work starts as a true renourishment. This is the first time ever that we put it in a renourishment project. We anticipate that the renourishment itself is somewhere around the $40 million range. We have some great revenues in place over time, and they're in place. We're paying debt off from the last time we renourished. We're almost done paying that debt off. And we have some cash reserves, and we have to make some decisions for our future, whether we're borrowing or paying cash for the rest of the beach. The great news is Pine Island is in there. No longer will you have to go either work with the town and try to figure out Pine Island different than the rest of the beach. We've said through a resilient strategy that the beach shoreline to our island, right, is most important. Phase two is more Central Island, South Island. And then phase three, Pine Island structures that I know the board took a look at, the board supported, and there will be for the future some drawings that get built into and out of Pine Island. That cost, preliminary cost, are $7 million for Pine Island. The revenue's there, from all the other sources that you find on the island, and I think that the fact that we're benefiting the entire island, the way town council has defined the beach is a very important element to understand.
So real quick, just want to go back to the beach renourishment side. Since its inception, it has added roughly 300 feet to the beach, and it's raised it about 11 feet. So when we talk about resiliency, this is keeping the water away. So part of the plans with our consultants who are behind this with us is how do we address whatever sea level rise may come in the future? A lot of it has been done since I think 99 because of these different beach renourishments. In the shipyard area, there used to be a lot of rocks that would jutting out. Well, they're all gone now. It's all beautiful beach. So this is something that has really saved our island. And by adding Pine Island, it's really going to help save this community as well.
So some capital projects, there's a lot on here, and so you can share that with the group. Let's say one capital project that I think we will all benefit from. The road on Windmill Parkway in between Dillon Road and Beach City Road. If you've seen the poles that are going up on the side of the road, those are for flashing pedestrian crossing beacons. Our Department of Transportation recently approved that work. It's their road, so we had to get an encroachment permit. We will restripe the intersections, including crosswalks, including Matthews Drive. We will put some low-level bollards up so we can see them, they can see us, and folks can cross at the appropriate place. But more importantly, we are creating a better, more enhanced safety program for not just people crossing, but for us driving too. And so stay tuned on that. That work will be done. It's $1 million of work. We received $600,000 though, as a one-time investment from Beaufort County to help us with that work. We've also expanded MOBA mats, so our beaches are more accessible, right? I call it barrier-free, not ADA compliant. That we have improved some pedestrian intersections at various locations. One very dangerous corner, right, is Palmetto Bay Road and Arrow Road intersection. So when you drive through there, you see some low-level lighting, not just to light the trees up, but to really create some lights there. We are not in the business of providing street lights up and down our street, shining down on the road. There's a lot of reasons for that. We have improved some crosswalks in Squire Cove and Gumtree Road area where kids walk to school. We have put, I think since we saw you last, 6 pickleball courts at Old Schoolhouse Park. How many go to Islanders Beach Park here? Don't go there in November. If you want to go there, you're going to see the construction underway. We have through town council has approved the Islanders Beach Park revamp, a new master plan. So it will include the metered spaces off property, so to speak. It will include speed humps and crosswalks to the pathways and sidewalks on the other side of the street. What it will also do is it will provide, and I think town council is on the brink of approving it, so I can say this out loud. It will provide 80 additional resident parking passes that will most likely be free for indefinite time if town council approves that. It will include a new playground, an upgrade and a fix of the bathrooms. They've seen a better day. And then there's some flooding and stormwater that occurs here that really is rotting out the foundation of that building. We boardwalk, bathroom, playground, 80 additional spaces, meters spaced out here, pathways from the street 3 times, 3 crosswalks, 3 speed humps. Approved by council, permitted, funded, and ready to go under contract. The bids are due in a couple of days. Chaplain Park, we're not as far along. The town council approved some Chaplain Park improvements, the master plan that expands parking, field space, playground, bathroom, resurfacing, tennis if we ever need it. There we are. And then some pickleball courts if once we build some others. And I'll show you about that right now. So Crossings Park, I think last time I was here, y'all were yelling at Peter because there weren't enough pickleball courts in Milgram Plantation. Is that true, Peter? That was true. True to form, Peter said, Mark, where are your pickleball courts? But I will say this, the town council has prioritized building pickleball courts and just want to play pickleball. But they have approved the Crossings Park improvement. It includes improving the field space for baseball, 3 baseball fields to 5, a walk of fame to celebrate all those kids, umpires, coaches, and everybody else that's spent their time here over the years. A reset of the hockey or the inline hockey rink, skate park for kids, but most importantly, as I will say here to you today, it's about 20. I think we can fit 18 on this map. You see a little more than 18. We are approved by town council, fully funded, and now we're in the schematic and civil engineering phase and the permitting phase of 20%. So as fast as I can go, and please, no, please. Fast as we can build pickleball courts, we will build them. And Peter earlier made a good point. It takes time to have things approved, right? It will take us about a year once the civil's done, a year at the state level to obtain our land disturbance permit. We're making some improvements to Shelter Cove Park with some parking and some expanded playground. We're investing in some neighborhood parks, Taylor Family Park, that really focuses on neighborhood space and history. Ditto with Patterson Family Park. Patterson Park is on Marshland Road, right next to the food truck court. We are building phase 1, just for clarity. Phase 1 of the Mid-Island Park, as we call it. We need a name for that one day. We are stabilizing the stormwater. This is not just a stream through a park. This takes stormwater from upstream to downstream. And so what we're doing is we're reconnecting the broken streams that are through there. There's a lot of dry space that shouldn't be dry, especially in high rain season. So we are fixing that. We are providing some capacity of water storage so that this site functions as a stormwater treatment facility from a natural best management practice. We are also putting in some small areas for parking. We're resetting the pathways through there so they're safe and barrier free and accessible. And we're improving a couple other things. That's it for now. That is it. Last but not least, Main Street. Town Council some months ago gave me some direction at a town council workshop to advance Main Street. So good news, we own both sides of the roundabout. The side of the roundabout that we didn't own, you can see the recent improvements. We fixed the sidewalks where kids are walking to school and people are walking to a business and get groceries. We have filled the potholes in, and I would say we've really stabilized that section of street. It took a while. It took a lot of extra effort from our town council attorney. He did an incredible job just getting all the signatures that we needed from all the different property owners, a sliver here, a sliver there, and there were many to obtain. Town council, though, has directed me to start moving forward with a concept of Main Street that's a little different than we know today. It will remain a two-way through Fair Street, but it will have an on-street bike lane. It will have proper pedestrian crossings, whether you're at a driveway or a crosswalk where you're parking in one spot and you're running to work across the street in the other. And I see it in the morning when we drive our son to St. Francis. It will include some streetlights, some low-level, downward-facing streetlights that one day I hope have a banner on there that says "Welcome to Main Street, Hilton Head Island." This project is not funded yet. There is a couple different ways we will fund the project. Potentially, this project gets funded with referendum money. Potentially, this project gets funded with town council decision through a tax increment finance district, or it gets funded a little bit at a time, like we've done in the past. When we afford it, we will invest in it.
What would be the fastest way to fund it, Mark?
You pay for it?
With the referendum, fund that more quickly? I can ask that question.
Yeah, you know, Hilton Head Island has a laundry list of projects in the referendum list. One in the primary expenditure and investment will get a gap funding for the bridge.
Correct.
But Sea Pine Circle is another. There's considerable amount of dollars in Beaufort County's bucket as well to make investments in intersecting of the streets, especially for safety and connectivity. Like, this is a parallel road to 278 that connects the school and the hospital and all of us. So I think the money's there. I'm not going to promise that there's $10 million of streetscape money and I'm going to build it the second the referendums passes, but there are dollars there that we would celebrate.
And just so everyone is aware, Mark's staff has been in touch with myself and David Mills. Once that project gets underway, we will then connect our leisure path to that leisure path system. So you don't have to go through a parking lot to get over to the Main Street area. But in my opinion, the most rapid way to get that done is in that referendum.
Something.
I was just gonna have you touch on the permitting time, right? So it goes through a design phase, it gets an approval phase, and then the permitting time. So when you talk about the funding side, what's the permitting time and how does that all play together?
You know, for a park, right? The permitting time on that and civil design is a year, permitting is a year, the mobilization and construction will start about 6 to 8 months after you receive your permit.
So that was 2.8 years, 2 years, 8 months after something is started, right? So, you know, as we're going through these capital improvement projects, you're not seeing shovels and grounds. And that's a problem. We need to see some shovels and grounds. But there's an issue at the state level with the number of people they have to work these permits. So there's 2 right now, right, in our area. And there's so many things that are happening. So I just want you to understand that while we talk about this and we're trying to move it forward, it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort.
Patience.
Is a virtue.
And roads take longer than parks. So if you haven't, looked in, this is festival season. We told our new communications director that just joined us from Charleston, Heather Woolline. She recently worked at Medical University of South Carolina and had all the oversight of public relations, corporate strategy and communications. And when she came here, we said, buckle up, it's going to get busy. And she said, oh, I know busy. I was at NUSC. And she called me the other day. She goes, oh no, we're way busier here. So we are in festival season. So if you haven't seen the Hilton Head Island Jam Singer-Songwriter Festival, it just ended. It was a fabulous time. I mean, All the folks from Nashville were here with BMI. And we had a great celebration, and we really brought that through town council to you with accommodations tax funds, right? So we use the tourism dollars raised to work through and use those expenditures, some of those expenditures.
So there were 37 artists that came in that encompassed 60 Grammys. So these are really talented folks that came in and are helping for us to drive possibly a younger generation, right? I'm not talking about teenagers, all teenagers. I'm talking about some 30 and 40-year-olds. But it was a great success.
Crescendo, which is more than a month long, is right around the corner. Our Lantern Parade is November 23rd, which ends Crescendo as a celebration. Who hasn't been to the Lantern Parade? Please go. Even if you just are a bystander watching, go visit municipalities.
Is there a way to have like a shuttle service from the Send down there? Because we went last year and there was no parking.
Peter?
Alan?
The buses at Honeyhorn, like you do for the RVC.
That's a really good point. We've been talking about trying to make that work behind the scenes with LRTA, right? With the trolley system. Good question. Community tree lighting, December 7th. And then our menorah lighting is still TBD, but important to us nonetheless. So thank you. I always enjoy coming here and talking.
We can open up some questions before we do. Glenn, would you stand up, please? Glenn,
I didn't do it.
Glenn indicated that he is retiring from the town council. And I'm here for 25 years, and I've worked with God knows how many board members, how many council members, how many county council members, and so on. But Glenn is one of those folks. He and I talk probably weekly. He calls me, I call him, and he has been the commensurate representative of his district. And he would be one of those ideal people who I would hold up as that's exactly the type of council member I would like to have. And I can say this because he's retired. If he wasn't retiring, I wouldn't be able to, for re-election, I wouldn't be able to say this, but Glenn, it's been an absolute pleasure to work with you. I hope you still stay involved. I may recruit you to run for the board. That feels like you're fine. You think the town council is tough? It's nothing yet. But thank you for your service to the entire island and to this community.
It's been an honor and pleasure to work for the community, and I think we've done a lot of good as a team. It's going to move forward with future team. Well, thank you very much.
You're not answering.
Yeah.
We moved here a couple of years ago from California. Don't hold us against, but I'm retired law enforcement, so I have some ideas. And first of all, compliment to the people right there. I got to say that I mean the most professional security service I've ever run into. One of the things on the island, I think you may already be addressing it, but you didn't sort of went around it a little bit. You know, when we first moved here, even now, when I'm making turns in the dark, it's very hard to see where the curve and or plant or where the turn is, right? And I don't want to change the environment. I don't want California. That's why I moved out of here. Right? So I'm not asking for lights here before. I don't want that, but reflectors. Now, I mean, if you had, I'm just an idea, if you had reflectors on certain turns, you could actually see at night, you know, because it's pitch black here, where the turns are. You know, I don't think it would take too much permitting or even money, I would think, you know, to put If there's a reason you can't, let me know. Second thing is, the Gullah community. I'm thrilled to see them, you know, because I'm an American history nut, so I would really love to see more out there, you know, and even with the assistance of the actual Gullah community on the island. So something historical, maybe even put on a play. You know, there's something so in that regard. So, and if you could add to it, you know, what your plans are a little bit with the, you mentioned the Gullah community. What are the plans for that in general?
So we took the note of our reflectors. Thank you. And I'm going to connect you. You should connect with Catherine Thorne. Catherine, put your hand up. Catherine is phenomenal. She works in our communication department. So there are plays, there are festivals, there is marketing. But if it's just a matter of finding them, so Catherine will help you plug in the right streams of information to help you with that.
Yeah, and kind of on that a little bit expanded. We had a conversation yesterday with our communications director about putting stuff into the newsletter so that you know what's coming up that's town sponsored. So there, yes, does the communication need to increase? Absolutely. And you know, we put a lot of things out there, but I don't think we've hit the POAs and their newsletters effectively. So that's something to look forward to.
Sir, in the back. I've been here.
Real loud.
Real loud.
Okay, you go.
I've been here almost 5 years. This is a issue that I notice a lot of the entire island, but particularly as we exit our plantation and get on 278. If people running red lights, seriously, so I've almost been hit 3 times.
Yep.
By people running the red light at that intersection. Is there anything we can do on the island to deter that? I don't think you put fake cameras up, but there's got to be something we can do to either catch these people or stop people from running those red lights.
I will say this, we had a meeting with Department of Transportation up in Columbia back in May, I think it was. And one of my questions was, can we increase the time between a light going from green when it turns red to the next one turning? They did increase that, but it's still a problem. So, you know, where does the enforcement come from? So that's a question that we have to work out with Beaufort County, with the sheriff's office, and make certain that they're doing their job. We're aware, we hear that complaint often.
In a younger period of my life, I happened to volunteer on the local community zoning commission where I live. And every time somebody came to us for a zoning change or a lot split or a variance, we knew as a data point, what's our build out? If every single vacant piece of property was built tomorrow as it was zoned, how many units would that create? You showed today the number of units that we have now. And there's always constant talk month to month about, oh, this job cleared all this land, we're gonna have so many more people. We're building a new bridge, we're gonna have so many more people. Well, there's only so much capacity based on current zoning. And it would be interesting to know what that build out capacity is, single family, multi units versus what we currently have. Do we have a potential 10% increase, 20%? And what happens if one of those lots goes from 5 properties per acre to 20, needing a variance? Do we know that number? What our build out is?
We do. I'm not gonna guesstimate at that percentage. You and I have talked, I think either last year or the year before. If we could get your phone number, we would like to talk to you a little deeper about that, because that's a longer answer, which is why the first priority shown on that page of our growth management framework, right? Includes zoning, rezoning, it includes transfer of development rights, it includes truly understanding for the first time in a long time the future land use pattern of this island. And so right now, if you just apply zoning today, you don't know, because there's so many zoning districts in there that allow scale density depending on size of property. It's just a hard answer to give you a concrete one. So why don't you give Catherine your phone number and we'll talk zoning.
And there's one other item to that goes into that question. is the town, we're being very, very proactive in acquiring property. And in the past year, well, with an acquisition that hopefully closes tomorrow, we'll be taking 300 units out of the system. And on a very sensitive piece of property. We have bought, well, we've got one under contract, should be closing next week or two. And then another one prior to a commercial area that could have been timeshare units. And we bought that to take it off the market. So we're proactively trying to control and maintain and reduce those impacts.
And I'm gonna jump in. That green space initiative. It is taking properties off the market. That miserable tract, that was zoned waterfront mixed use, which is the highest possible zoning. That's hotels, timeshares, condominiums, and as Mark indicated, there's a variety of different zonings of it. That's the maximum density when you have waterfront mixed use. And there's another waterfront mixed use. That is the go-kart track on Marshland Road. We're trying to get that one off the market, and the town has several applications in for green space funds to get those properties off. And back when the economy went south, there was a determination by the town to rezone properties to encourage development. And that in some cases, I can say this, backfired. And now they're re-looking at that to take some of that zoning away, which is really that's the best use, because we've stimulated that growth. And as you said, it may be time to slow it down and buy it back. And that's what we're trying to do. And by the way, the referendum has a green belt portion in for money for green belt. It's greener and stop developments. But
Alan, Peter, Mark, this is great communication from the town. And I think we should promote the town website. Let people know the depth of information that's there.
Thank you. Absolutely. I mean, there's a ton of information there. And at the same point, there's a mobile app called My HHI. So if you see something that's broken, you can take a picture of it, send it in and get a response really quick and it gets fixed quickly. And I'll tell you that when Debbie came through and dropped all the rain, people were taking pictures of flooding areas and our stormwater management group was out there fixing it almost immediately.
Are you aware of any legislation at the state level that would supersede Hilton Head Plantation's short-term rental?
No. So you bought into a fund, you got master covenants and no, you can control what you want. So, and that, if I'm not mistaken, that bill died.
that bill is one representative that keeps on putting that bill out there. And it hasn't gone anywhere.
No.
And it's only to control municipalities and counties. It wouldn't apply to us, but the danger is if they ever did get it, that the next step would be to go after us and overrun our government. I don't see that happen.
Here's an important part of that is there's the Municipal Association of South Carolina conference every July. And there's a mayor's meeting with all the mayors from across the state, and that's one of the items that we discussed. Now, we pushed back on that, so it doesn't happen. And it didn't get a second reading, so after a certain date, it just dies naturally in the House and Senate. So.
Okay, I have a question regarding the traffic light again. Coming from 95 all the way to Hilton Head sometimes is crazy. I mean, maybe once a month, maybe I can go through the green, but
You all played a lottery.
when you got the large SUV, then you're stopping and going. Plus, I'm also seeing more and more people speeding up to try to beat the next light and get back on this, so is there any way they're gonna sync them together where it's safer and, just not,
right?
okay.
We control.
I don't know if
control
you've
both.
heard of-
Off Island, we work closely with, as much as we can with Beaufort County and their transportation team. I do know that they have an investment in their signal system software and their signal system itself. In the future, it's not in yet. But we experience the same thing, a lot of folks coming to work every day have those same issues. We have a great transportation engineer and very small transportation team. We work with Beaufort County very regularly on these types of syncing issues.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm interested in the other tax.
Actually,
What does it cover? Everything everybody buys or?
Good question.
We couldn't hear,
What does the 1% sales tax apply to? What goods and services?
It would be everything you buy.
well, not, what does it fund?
Not. Yeah, there's certain things that are excluded, yes.
We can get you that list. It's a long list. We can get that to you.
Sir?
In connection with the referendum, this may be something for your website, but one of the negative comments I've heard about that is just a blank check. Nobody knows where the money's gonna go, what it's gonna be used for. So perhaps having, the breakdown of what the plan is might encourage people to support it, assuming you want to support it.
That information is definitely coming, I know that, so our goal as a town will be educational. To make certain that you have access to all that information.
One more question, and then I'm sure they're gonna hang around. Sir?
Yeah, first of all, thank you. That excellent, overview. Really appreciate both of you being here. My question is, and if you don't have an answer, it's fine. I know we're running short. I know several business owners on the island, as well as some avid golfers and a lot of golf courses. I heard that this past summer was a little softer in terms of visitors and income, revenue and things, and some of the golf fees are being reduced as an example to get more people out. Just, is there any impact? Obviously you're nodding, so that's probably the case. I mean, I hear that probably a lot of the affluent people that come here maybe opted to go abroad and things like that, rather than HHI maybe having a bubble in 22 and 23. Any impacts we should think about because of that, or is it irrelevant?
Yeah, when we were preparing our budget for this fiscal year, that was one of the conversations about reduced revenues and how do we address it? What's the plan going forward if the revenues don't come through as projected? We're able to pull some things offline if necessary, and that's why we're looking at different revenue sources. If that is a current trend. Yeah, we know that 20, 21, 22 were exorbitant, right? Unusual. So we're going back to a more normal aspect, and the world's open for travel. And, we went from, 1,500 growing units to 7,000. We're starting to see some of those come offline. We're starting to see some of them go up for sale. So there's a correction that's happening in the marketplace. But fortunately, your tax dollars, your property tax dollars, they're over here and they're taking care of the general fund, right? The A tax, hospitality tax, they're paying for a lot of the other things. So we can pull those off if need be. Not what we want to do, but we can also scale back and we can phase it a little bit differently.
And that's a good, are you a business owner?
Kind of.
Okay.
It's a very small business.
I was just talking about, I'm not the one asking the questions. Well, as we set our budget this year, we really looked back 2 years to see what those actuals were. We started to make our projections, and we knew that a tax, a combinations tax, that head and bed tax, the hospitality tax, the food and beverage tax, we know that those would start compressing. We track it all the time. Our business license rev is down 1%. It's still enough. It's down. It's not up. We've become accustomed to up. And so we have projected very conservatively and back a couple of years.
Okay.
To Mayor's point, when we look at where we're spending those dollars, when he says we can turn up, we have projects that are planned with accommodations tax, tourism money, or hospitality tax. As we keep monitoring those, we will not spend those dollars to start those projects if those reps, that accommodations tax being down is a canary in the mine, right? Because if you're not the 3.1 visitors, if you're here, you're not spending the dollars, you're not going out to eat. If you're not going out to eat, the many businesses that a lot of our business, right, our largest employers are food and beverage or hospitality businesses and vacation centric companies. Sure. Those revenues will be down. So yeah, it's a different time, right? I think we had that COVID. It's a free for all. Come to Hilton Head Island. You don't have to wear a helmet to ride a motorcycle, and you can come here from everywhere else. we've seen that. It's affected us at the beach. It's affected us in our short-term rentals. It's affected us in our fire rescue. It's affected our phone calls we get every day. And it's starting to slowly go down. People are going back to Europe. People are going other places, and it's a tough time. People are also not traveling, and we can't lose sight of that.
And it's also not untypical for this to happen during the election season.
Yes, sure. And actually, I'll just comment that I think those of us that aren't business owners, that are residents, actually don't mind it that much. Thank you.
As you can see, these guys have a handle on town government. And Carlton Dallas was was talking with the mayor just yesterday. I talked with Alan fairly regularly. I talked with Mark, as he indicated, on a regular basis. Very close contact, exchanging information. We are in very, very good hands with these two guys. We really are. And we really We'll hang around, answer, any other questions you may have. Rex is here, Melinda is here. They're running for Glen seat. If you want to chat with them, I'm sure they'll hang around and they'll talk.
Just waiting.
Thank you all.
Big things happening. Joanne's up in Northern.